Hello, everyone. My name is Richard Hankey. I'm with Zacks Small Cap Research. I'm here with Frank Gleeson, who is the co-founder and CEO of Satellos Bioscience. Hi, Frank.
Hi, Richard. How are you doing?
Good, very good. For those of you who are not aware, Zacks Small Cap Research, we're a division of Zacks Investment Research. And we've got a team of 10 seasoned research analysts doing fundamental research on small and micro-cap companies. We currently have about 100 under coverage. What we bring to the table, what Zacks Small Cap Research brings to the table, really the experience of those 10 research analysts, the quality of the research that they write, and the breadth of the distribution, who sees the research that we put together. So what we have today is another in a series of CEO chats. And for those that are not familiar with Satellos Bioscience, it trades on the TSXV under the ticker MSCL. And I guess as of this past October, it listed on the OTCQB under the ticker MSCLF. So, and our senior technology analyst, David Bouts, PhD, initiated in November, basically in conjunction with that OTCQB listing. And he just issued an update report the other day, and he's got a 70 cents price target on the company. And you can, if you go to our website, scr.zacks.com, you can see his latest research. You can see his contact information and those kinds of things. So, but with that said, I want to get into it, Frank. So I've got a brief series of questions here for you from David. But I think first, let's just why don't you set the table here a little bit? Tell us about Satellos Bioscience and what are you looking to accomplish?
Sure. Well, thank you for the opportunity, Richard, and we're delighted to be working with Zacks and a chance to speak to you today. So Satellos Bioscience is focused in the area of muscle regeneration, and that's why our ticker is MSCL for muscle. We've identified deficits in certain disease areas in which the body is unable to repair and rebuild muscle the way it's intended. So we're built to regenerate muscle throughout our lives. And so from the time we're very small until the time we're full-grown adults, we are actually growing and laying down new muscle. And we don't think necessarily of this as a regenerative process, but our muscles are like the newt's tail. When we damage muscle, when we go to the gym and do something silly like lift heavy weights to get bigger and stronger, then we are actually tearing muscle. And that sets in motion a regenerative process in our bodies that allows that muscle to repair itself and to get bigger and stronger. Well, some people aren't so fortunate. Some disease situations impair that ability. Some genetic diseases actually completely eliminate or virtually eliminate that possibility for people. And so these individuals that live with these genetic or other diseases or disorders are actually experiencing a constant breakdown and destruction of their muscles. One of those diseases is Duchenne muscular dystrophy. This is a genetic disorder that by its genetic nature affects young boys. It affects 1 in 5,000 boys worldwide, regardless of background or location. And these children, as they grow, are unable to repair and regenerate new muscle. And this is a discovery that we have made, that these children have this deficit. This was not known before our pioneering work. It was not known before my scientific co-founder, Dr. Michael Rudnicki, published on this, and really was able to say that Duchenne muscular dystrophy, which was only known for its genetic nature, is actually a disease of our muscle stem cells. This is a disease in which the stem cells in our body that are intended to create new muscle are not working properly. And we can correct that. We have shown in our work that it is possible to correct this deficit. And we do this by designing and developing new small molecule drugs. So think of a pill. This would be a pill that an individual could take that would reset the program in their stem cells to divide properly to create new muscle. It is an extraordinary idea, and we are moving this forward with as much pace as we possibly can. And we believe that we can make a huge impact in the lives of many, many thousands of people, if not millions of people worldwide that suffer from debilitating muscle conditions.
Yeah, so you're getting you have a series of inflection points, that you've kind of achieved, but are coming up. You went out with two very important press releases recently. One on, I think, at the beginning of January 3rd, which you disclosed your lead development candidate, if I'm not mistaken. What is it? SAT 3153. But then you also went out with a press release back just on February 6th, and I guess in the words of our analyst David Bautz, he calls it you had some very exciting preclinical results showing increased muscle growth and strength in a mouse model in DMD. So can you kind of tie those two press releases together and talk about the significance?
Sure, I'd love to do that. Well, we've been working since the foundation of the company, which started in 2018, on identifying ways to correct this problem that we identified. So we've been looking for biochemical pathways in the body that we can leverage to restore this regenerative capacity. And we look for drug targets. So in the drug development business, the key is to find a protein target in the body that we can design a drug to interact with. And by interacting with that particular target, to have the biological effect that we want. So there's a great deal of scientific work that goes into assessing and analyzing the many millions of proteins in the body to find that one that we believe can act as a master switch to turn back on the ability of muscle stem cells to properly divide to create new muscle. We've identified that particular protein that we believe can do that. One of the press releases, which spoke to the proof of concept, was really a press release that in essence said, if we affect this target the way that we plan, it directly results in these animals growing more muscle, and that muscle is functional. So it's not enough to make people bigger. The muscle has to work and work well. And that's what we showed in that press release, that we believe this is the first time that anybody has shown that this is achievable in any type of model of a mammalian system. And the particular model we used is the gold standard model for studying this disease area. And so that particular model, that mouse model, is characterized by an inability to regenerate muscle. And so we showed that we can fix that. And so we're thrilled with those results. So that's proof of concept of our idea. And of course, that's where science starts. And well, first you get the idea, then you have to get proof of concept of the idea. And then the third key piece is you have to develop a proprietary drug. So something that you can take forward into clinical development that you can then get out into the market and into the hands of physicians so that they can treat their patients and those people that live with conditions that are very, very difficult, and in the case of Duchenne muscular dystrophy, are fatal. So the first press release describes the fact that we've identified that drug candidate that we're prepared to stand behind and take forward. And so those two together are really key. We've shown and validated the drug target. We've shown and validated that if we affect that target the way we believe is required, that it has the biological result we're looking for. Now we have the drug candidate to take forward.
Okay. Now, if it's not clear to the viewers here today, you are preclinical. So and my understanding is that you expect to file the IND. You're targeting to file the IND by the end of this year or beginning of next year. But what data do you need to generate in order to be able to do that? What's got to happen before then?
Sure.
Data-wise?
Well, there are a number of steps in the process from where we are to becoming a clinical stage company. And that we think is one of the reasons that makes us exciting. It's sort of getting in on the ground floor with us at this juncture. But the kinds of things that we need to do, we need, of course, to satisfy all of the FDA requirements. And that involves approximately 1 year of quite precise, detailed scientific experimental work where we have to lock down the manufacturing process for the chemical entity, the drug itself, where we have to do the type of safety testing that's required in different systems to show that we're not going to have any untoward effects on people. And this is a very prescribed body of work that, as I said, takes about a year in total. And so, the kinds of things we need to do is line up the various contract research organizations that specialize in these studies, enter into contracts with them, book dates to get the work started and get the work finished, get all the reports drafted in forms that the FDA is prepared to accept and demands are provided, and then put all that together in a package for the FDA. In addition to that, we need to think about the clinical trial, design the clinical trial that we're going to conduct, and get the FDA's buy-in for all of that. So all of that work, it's a lot of heavy lifting. We believe that we're on track, in good shape for all of that, and we will update the market on a regular basis to how we're doing along those lines.
Yeah.
I would also point out, Richard, that we're building a company. We're trying very hard to build one of the foremost companies in the regenerative medicine space that is pioneering new technologies and new approaches to treat disease. So we will also be looking to form relationships, and we are actively forming relationships with various advocacy groups in other disease areas aside from Duchenne, where we'll look to form relationships to get proof of concept. We are now in active discussions, I guess one could say, with a number of pharmaceutical companies who are interested in our work and wondering if we'd be willing to talk to them or maybe form relationships with them. So it's a very exciting time for us on a lot of different fronts. And of course, in the medium term, for us to fulfill our dreams and ambitions, we need to be able to access institutions, institutional funds. We need to get to NASDAQ, and all of those things are in our plan for the next year to 18 months. So we're going to be busy. We're going to have a lot going on. We're going to have a lot to be able to tell the market about over the course of the next year to 18 months.
Yeah, hopefully a lot of news flow, because that's what they'll want to see. So you kind of touched on it a little bit, but I was going to ask you, hey, what are the plans, that you've come up with, for the clinical trials? But maybe that's in development. But could you talk a little bit about, how quickly do you think you're going to be, once you are, in phase 1 in the clinic, how quick do you think you can generate some data?
Well, this is such a fascinating question because we're doing something that hasn't been done. We're actually creating muscle. So we're actually resetting the body's ability to create muscle. Virtually every type of treatment that we're aware of, whether it's genetic or otherwise, is focused on either trying to stop the damage or trying to stabilize the damage. What we're trying to do is correct the damage, lay down new muscle. And why that's important is that when we think about a clinical trial, of course, the very first thing we need to do in any clinical trial is do a safety study. So we all have to do that, not just Satellos. Everybody has to do safety studies in human beings to make sure that there isn't some surprise that didn't get picked up in the preclinical work. And also that we figure out the kind of dosing and so on that is acceptable or tolerable by humans. So that takes a few months of time. So by the middle of next year, we anticipate going into what are more regarded as phase 2 development, where we start to think about efficacy, where we start to think, can we get a signal that says the effect is happening? So we know the specific target protein that we're interacting with. We know the biological effect on muscle stem cells that we're looking for. And we know that if we do both of those things, based on all our preclinical work, we will see muscle generation. So we believe it will be possible in a short period of time in a matter of months, not years, to be able to see an effect on muscle itself. And if that is correct, then we would anticipate being able to see at least early stage indicative data before the end of 2024.
Actually, I got a very specific question. Maybe I should have asked it earlier on. Is there a biomarker you could be using during the clinical trials rather than waiting on, biopsy results?
Yes.
How would that work?
Yes, we're hoping and we believe that we can design our trials to avoid that need to put people through biopsy. We believe that tools such as MRI may be suitable for looking at muscle directly, particularly if we're talking about being able to visualize an increase in the size of muscle. That would be something that would be non-invasive, which in the population of patients that we're working with would be a relief for them.
Okay, thank you. And that was my last, specific question. I just want to give you a few seconds here, and you kind of answered my question as you went on, because I want to know what do our investors, what do they got to keep track of? What are the milestones they should be looking for? The information flow they should be tracking progress. How do they do that throughout 2023?
Well, building a company is a lot like building a winning team, So we'll do a number of things and investors can look for those signals. We'll be adding key members of our team, particularly on the medical side. We'll be announcing that we're putting in place relationships with contract research organizations, which are an indication of progress as we're kind of moving the ball down the field. We'll be reporting on our preclinical studies that when they wrap up, that we've done certain studies that demonstrate the continued safety of the product. We'll do additional proof of concept work, shorter term models, longer term models. We'll do other disease areas. So these are the sorts of things to be looking for. There won't, biotechnology it's not a sales business where you have feedback every day, so the spreading out of these kind of updates will be over a period of months, but we will be making updates. We will be keeping the market informed, but those are the types of things, those signals that say, yeah, management has a vision here. They know what they're doing. They're putting the pieces in place. The pieces are moving forward. And that's really the key. So we hope to keep the market informed.
Yeah, good, and so will we through David. So everyone out there, if you have any questions for David, his reports are widely available on a lot of different channels, and you can go to our website scr.zacks.com, and his contact information is in there. Frank, if they've got any questions directly for you or the company, how should they get in contact? Who should they call?
Well, they can reach out. We have, through our website, they can contact us through our website. If they want to drop a note to, fgleeson@satellos.com, we will get back to them. So we'll endeavor to keep engaged.
Good. And for those of you that want to hear more about our program and how it works, and any ideas for coverage or any other comments on this, you can contact me and my email address is rhantke@zacks.com. So that concludes today's chat, today's CEO chat. Frank, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Richard, thank you for your time, and thank David, please, for his report. Thanks very much.
Absolutely.
Great working
Absolutely.
with you.
Will do. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.